Hello again, and welcome once more to this career mode playthrough. Episode 12 I believe we're on now. Yes, I could be wrong. Goal now is a Kerbal on the Mun. So as I said, I've got a few options of various things in here that might prove useful. They're all useful. Only have enough science at the moment for one, so I'm going to bring another one back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the fuel systems and all of the parts for it. I'm grabbing all of the parts because money's basically reasonable at the moment. So what I'm now going to do is start again, and this, let's spell it right, Mun Lander 1. Now I do have a lander design that I know works. It's been a while since I've done it. I don't yet have a rocket that can lift the thing, so I'm not going to be using that. What I'm going to be doing is a very basic design. This is a simple little mission. The beauty is Jeb can get out, so in theory I can go with a landing stage and an ascent stage. In theory. I may struggle to launch that, however, so we're going to do this in a slightly simpler way of that. Now, as you saw with the satellites, quite sure why some of those didn't. Oh, from last time. One of these fuel tanks is enough to land on. Well, one of those is enough to land and take off. So that's what I'm going to do. Is one of those, and then it needs legs. Again, I'm going to go with 6 legs. And just a little bit like that to make sure we're alright. They will start retracted. Right. That's not all we need for the spaceship. So I'm also going to put a thermometer on board, which is going to go there. I'm going to put a barometer on board. I'm leaving off the Science Junior. It's just too bulky. So I'm going to leave that off. So I now need to work out where I'm going to put the goo pods. There's a possibility I can do a little bit more science on the way there. I can't remember whether these things have any aerodynamic effect or not, so but they're going to go down there. Electrical. A triplet of solar panels is probably not a bad idea to have. That thing can have the monopropellant taken out while I'm thinking of weight, so we don't need that. And that's the lander. Now that's got the fuel to land and to get back. What it hasn't got is the fuel to play around. This needs something that gets it into space and gets it to Mun. So this thing needs the Apollo upper stage bit that will do that. So that is going to be one of those, which is what the new fuel tank we've got. There's a couple of different colours. Make it orange and grey, just make it white. I'll just stick with the default, I think. I like that. So that needs an injection stage, which is going to be one of those. That is the final bit into orbit engine and the I need to go to the Mun engine. Ideally also the I need to come back from the Mun engine. For some reason we're showing that as 0 performance. Show all. Interesting. Apparently we have no performance whatsoever on this thing. Sea level? No. Design checklist. Engine jettisoned before use. Electric charge generator. Storage lacking. Cannot transmit science. Missing ladder. Engines jettisoned before use. Right, so that engine is a stage on its own. That makes sense. That engine is in there. Yes, now that, yeah. What that warning was telling me is I've got the staging wrong. So do that again, show all. So if we set that to vacuum, as we can see, we've got 2,000 odd, which is enough for landing and taking off. That ideally needs to get us to Mun and do the orbital braking. So just having a drink. So yeah, I now need a slightly more beefy stage to sit below this. And that is again going to be one of those and one of those. It's basically the three engine stack core. I already know if I do any more than that, it's going to struggle. And what we're then going to do is go coupling 4 of these. And these are going to be the boosters. Now there's a new fuel tank in here, which is this. This is obviously designed to turn you into a Soyuz. It's a fuel tank that is aerodynamic. Yeah. Built-in separation engines as well. I've not used those yet, and because I've not used them, I'm a bit loath to use them. So what I'm going to do is that. They're also going to get those underneath. They're also going to get swivels because I want control of this thing. Aero is going to be that. Because of what happened last time, fins are going to be a thing. Like that, which sort of says I've possibly not got the... yeah, these boosters aren't quite centered properly. That better? Not quite. That. No. That. Yes, that's better. No, it's not. Oh, yeah, the issue is the fins aren't centered right. Yeah, the boosters were fine. Boosters now aren't fine. There. Anyway, right. So they're still not centered. Center you damn. Yeah. There we go. Right, that's that. So then what we're going to do is go in and strut the hell out of the thing because I want it to stay reasonably solid on launch. So that does that. So that is going to fire at the same time. So we'll burn on those, then we'll go to the center engine, then we're going to do that. So show me the performance. Sea level 1500. That'll help because that'll give. We'll be at altitude. If I can get this thing to work a little bit, about there. Yeah, I think that'll. I think that will work. So what we're then going to do is drop a quartet of those on, which will just help hold everything stable. We are going to be flying today with Jeb. No, we're not going to fly with Val. Let Val do this one. Jeb's done everything else. She's got level 1, so she can do the retrograde hold bit, which is what I want for the landing, which is the important bit. So hit that, hit launch. Right. So Mun Lander 1. Let's see what we can do here. This is the epitome of the lawn dart series. Full power. Hit that and that. So quartet of swivel engines. A lot of what they're lifting at the moment really is the weight of themselves and the boosters, but we'll get there, I hope. Oh, Val, look at her, she's loving it. Little does she know who designed this rocket. Anyway, hopefully this will work. I seem to remember I've used a similar design somewhat in the past, and it sort of does the job. So, yeah. Hopefully this will work. Right. Hold prograde for a bit. Let Val fly it. She knows what she's doing. She's brave. She's clever. She's green. Anyway, so... Now, yeah, I've been told the ideal sort of gravity turn, you're at this sort of ring here by the time you go through 10,000. So the that we're not indicates we're not on the most efficient launch profile, but also I haven't tipped over too far, which I'm quite happy with. So we will shortly jettison this stage and fire up the second stage. And you can see the meters per second in the second stage is getting higher, even though we're not actually burning it. But yeah. Yeah, we shall see. Going by those readings, this is a little bit short of what it needs to do, but it's headed that way. So we're going back on stability assist. I'm going to spin sideways again because we've got the altitude bit we need. We're going to hit enter space. What we now need to do is go sideways really quickly. Another little drink. Aldi Diet Coke again. Wonderful stuff. Wouldn't clean coins in anything less. Yeah, anyway, never mind. So this is... this is burning. I mean, there's... Yeah, 1,300. This will get to around 2,000 meters per second. So we're going to rob a few hundred off the next stage up. Yeah. Should be okay. Worst case is we end up either stuck on the... Well, actually, worst case is we end up stuck on the Mun, in which case I'll need that second crew pod and fly somebody out here to come and bring Val back. Or we end up in Mun orbit. One of my later sort of ship designs, we used the radial parachutes, and I put a docking port on the nose. And you sort of get to the point where everything flies with a docking port. So if things go wrong, you've always got the way to get home. That was basically because I used to kill every single Kerbal that went out on EVA. I've sort of worked out how to deal with that a little bit better now. Although I'm still not very good at it. So, to look at that, how to manoeuvre, I want to circularize. That'll do. So yeah. So 53, so about 27 seconds. T minus 27 seconds, and then we'll hit the engines again. And then we will plot a course for Mun, which at this stage has got the fuel togethers there. I'd like it to be able to do some of the braking for the initial landing as well as the orbit. I suspect it may not be able to, but we will see. As the mighty Mun Lander 1 soars through space like a rusty junior hacksaw. But anyway, never mind. Hold that a little bit. I'm burning a little early. Again, the orbit doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be stable. So I've got enough I can then say, right, where's Mun? Now I did read somewhere that this says you can work out the correct angle is if you're in a lowish orbit, is you look to Kerbin's horizon, and as soon as Mun pops up, is just disappearing behind it. That is where you burn for the Mun, and that gives you the appropriate launch angle. which I think is like, yeah, okay, fair enough, that works. I've not tried it, but we'll see. We're getting there. Perhaps it's rising. That'll do. Kill the manoeuvre node. I've been joined by a cat that's meowing again. Say hello. Meow. Yeah, you're not coming up. Yeah. I need to say the cat is in full-on investigating mode. Yeah, try about there. You see, I've got 1,300 left. This is going to go all the way out here. A little bit more. There we are. So yeah, and that'll get me to Mun. Do this. Oh, I don't. Sorry. Again, I'm trying to grab the. No, I want to grab that. I want to grab that ring. What I'm trying to do is work out exactly what the best, where the best point to do it is. It's probably about there. Yeah, it'll do. I mean, you really shouldn't run a space program on the attitude of, yeah, that'll do, but that'll do, whatever. So get this to head over here like so. And there we are. Yeah, the manoeuvre's a little, I don't care. Hit the engines. Again, I'm not really bothered where I land. I'd prefer not to land in the Midlands again. Joke being, obviously, anyone who's ever been to the Midlands will understand why. No, just purely because we've been to Mun's Midlands. So if we go somewhere else, we'll maximise the science. I'm just going to follow the blue marker. There's one good thing actually is when you start looking at this and thinking, all right, I want to go to Duna. If you've got a satellite in orbit, it's quite useful to have something in sort of about 80, 90 kilometre orbit. You can go to that. Even if the thing hasn't got an engine, you can still plot a manoeuvre to take it somewhere. And you can use that to work out how much delta V in metres per second you need. And you can then build something capable of doing that, which is quite nice. I mean, I've used that before on other missions. It's like, I found out, oh, I need 600 metres per second, whatever. I'll build a craft with about 1,000 and think, yeah, that'll accommodate my incompetence when it comes to not being able to fly it properly. Which is usually quite useful. Start throttling down a little bit. Throttle down a little bit more, pitch up slightly like that. And that'll do. And now it's put the ship on an appropriate orientation that when we come out of Kerbin's shadow we will start recharging the batteries a little bit. That should do. And walk there and just find out, basically. There we are. See? Oh, Mun in the distance again. See what I mean about Mun photobombing? Pretty much everything you do, Mun photobombs. Right, and what we're now going to do is come all the way out here. This one's going to... the antenna strength will start struggling. The capsule's got an antenna, but it's not a brilliant one. However, when we get near Mun, we'll start talking to the relays. Or we should start talking to the relays. So let's just go there. Basically just make sure I get into Mun's sphere of influence. It just makes life a little bit simpler to see what I'm doing. So we're now going to go to... going to do is warp to periapsis, which is the basically the point of closest approach. And this stage will definitely get us into orbit, which is the main thing. And because we're piloted, we can land anywhere we like. So, yeah, don't really care about a lot of other bits and pieces. So I'm actually going to bring the periapsis down. About 80. About 20, that'll do. Because we've got a little bit of fuel left, not much, but a little bit. I'm then going to go there. And I'm going to say, if I do a proper braking manoeuvre there... Oh, sod off with hitting that one. Right, this stage is going to get me into a stable, low Mun orbit, which is actually what really what I want. I'm very, very happy with that. It will have enough to start the landing burn, but only to start it. We won't be doing much else. This is warping to the periapsis. Here we go. I'm going to kill the manoeuvre because I don't need a manoeuvre to do this bit. I know what I'm trying to do here. I know where I need to be to do it. So the reason we're not talking to any of those that relay satellite is we don't have the we don't have a proper antenna on board. We've only got the built-in one, which isn't capable of talking to relays. So yes, that's that. Now the thing here is all of this stuff is Midlands. What I actually want to do is land in that crater. So what I'm going to do, keep burning the engine. And that'll put us over the crater, and then I can go in and land. So we're going to do this. If you notice, this crater is starting to get a little bit into shadow, and I think it's on the side of... it's going to continue to go into shadow. Ideally, I'd have landed in that one, but we didn't really line up properly for it. So, what we need to do is lights on, gear deployed. Oh, this one hasn't got lights. I didn't put lights on this one. Damn, I forgot to put lights on it. Never mind. Okay, well, we are where we are. Mistakes have been made. That's really all that matters. So what we're going to do now is warp to about there. Yeah, the warp may cancel a little early. Here we are, over the crater rim. There we go. So I'm now going to fire up, and the reason I'm going to fire up now is to drop that bit of the engine. You see, we're not quite over the crater yet. This is going to put us over the crater. Jeb is quite capable of... Oh, sorry, Val, rather, is quite capable of landing this thing. I've got to manage the throttle, and she will manage the... she'll manage the difficult bit, which is piloting the thing. See, we're nearly over the crater rim here. Go a little bit further. You see, there's the descent stage. That will carry on. When I start using the bigger landers, that ends up dropping more or less under where we where we're going to touch down. I think we're over the crater. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Crew report. Space near the Mun. Yeah, it doesn't tell us. I'd rather hoped it would, but it doesn't. Right, we're definitely over the crater anyway. So let's kill that horizontal velocity, or kill as much of it as possible. So that we start to drop. Don't necessarily want to land on that ridge if I can avoid it. Yeah. Now, getting back doesn't take anything like 1,700. 1,000 will do it easily. Probably way less than that. So, yeah, as long as I've got a reasonable chunk of fuel left on when I'm down, we do not have a huge problem. There we are. We're not going to miss that crater, which is the key bit. As you see, we'll start dropping down towards the vertical. Val can hold that position thing a lot better than I can. The drawback is when the speed drops below about 1.5 meter per second, that goes into just hold where we are. Which you actually need. If you don't do that, you do actually have a problem. Again, I'm going to switch the thrust limit. I'm going to limit the engine thrust a bit. And for the same reason as before, this is just to make landing and adjusting things a little bit more accurate. I'm going to turn the light on because it turns the cabin. It turns the cabin light on. It doesn't do anything else, but it turns that on. And the real secret at this point, if you if you fly with a sort of an external controller setup, is you put something in that locks the staging out until you. So it's like I can flick a cover so I cannot accidentally press the staging button. At which point. It's a long taxi ride home. Now, somewhere on here there'll be a shadow. We're not really going to see that. The surface underneath looks quite good. Doesn't look too bad in terms of being bumpy. Turn that onto radar so I can see what I'm doing again. Now, on this descent stage, you don't. You can ride the engine. Graphical glitches. You can drive the engine most of the way down. You sort of don't want to. You don't want to burn too much fuel doing it. Now I'm trying to keep my velocity in stages here. Still quite far up. Hoping this is flat enough we don't fall over. Falling over on landing is embarrassing. It's also a very good way to get yourself killed on takeoff. Yeah. As we keep coming down here, we're now basically in a pure vertical descent, so we're not rolling sideways. Start managing the throttles a little bit here. Not quite so nervous landing with a Kerbal on board. You don't have to worry about the annoyance of you're landing a satellite and you get to this point and then it loses communications. And you look at it and you go, oh. And you watch where the bits land, because when they explode, bits will fly off and all that sort of good stuff. Somewhere there should be a shadow, which you can't see. Yeah, it'll be around somewhere. Oh yeah, it's over there. You'll see the thing switch shortly. About a metre, that'll do. This is a little bit slopey, but it'll do. Woo! We're down. Woohoo! Right, so crew report from Mun's far side crater. Didn't know Kerbins were a fan of Gary Larson, but there we go. Obviously they are. It's going to give me a good chunk of science. We're going to do an EVA report, which is that. Dust is getting everywhere. It does that. See that I can't. Oh yeah, I've got to go back on board in order to tell the goo pod to do its observations. The goo seems less dense here. Well, good for the goo. Right. So we look on here. We have landed on the Mun. We have the world's first milestone. We've walked on the surface. Well, we haven't yet. It's given lots of other bits and pieces. So what we're now going to do, I can't take a surface sample. I think I can plant a flag, which I'm going to do. The reason I'm going to do the flag is so I can list what I'm doing. So I need to go down. Let go. Whee! Dump. Right. Because I need to collect that data from there, because we're not going to be taking that bit home, basically. We're going to wander over here like this. Isn't space wonderful? Plant flag. Now the reason for doing this is this will put a flag on the map which will tell me I have landed here. Far side crater. There's a little reference if anybody gets that one. Yes. That's that. Yeah. Ooh, remove helmet. I think not. Right. Now what I've got to do is remember how to put the jetpack on. Right. How do I activate the jetpack? Space? Oh, space, that's a jump. Okay. I need to come over here like this and to face that way. I need to... That one? One moment, please. As I'm just looking up what the keyboard controls are for Kerbal Space Programme. That. Rather annoyingly, the page I'm looking at isn't working. But there we go, never mind. Here we are, key bindings thing. Let's have a little look at it. A nice little picture. I have a cheat sheet set up here, which I'm now going to open up into just as usual. In Windows is in hyperactive puppy mode of what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Yay! Right. Anyway, yes. Sorry about that. So, what is the key to activate the jetpack? There we are. Toggle jetpack. There we are. So do that. Okay. Oh! Of course, I'm pressing Shift, so Windows immediately goes into. Are you wanting to use the? Oh! It's done it again. Right, try again. You activate. You press Shift a few times. Right, how the hell can I... Well, I've told it... It's told to switch that off. Right, try again. I just... Oh. Switch that off. Right. Disable this keyboard shortcut and the ease of access keyboard settings. I've done that. I don't... Right, again, just excuse me a moment. I'm just going to have to throttle something in Windows. So that is... Go away. I think there's a stupid amount of stuff under Windows that doesn't do what you want it to. It's like I've... The reason this is going blank is because this is turning the stick keys setting on. And the methods that it's coming up with to say turn that off are not working. Right. Turn off the keyboard shortcut. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Right. See if it works this time. Right. So if I now try again, and the other one I need to do is enter the command for forwards. There we are. We do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Grab. There we are. Board. Yes. Sorry about that. That was Windows being its useful, helpful self. Again, I'm just going to have a little drink to calm down. Nice. I'm relaxed. Right, the next thing we need to do is get back into orbit. So I need to head out. I can never get this thing right. I think I need to head out that way. But the way we do that is like so. Can retract the landing gear and turn the lights off. And excellent. Yes, that's taking me out in the correct direction. I always get confused about which is the correct direction here. It looks lovely, doesn't it? What I'm going to do there is a... Oh, for God's sake. Sorry, this is again Windows being Windows while I'm trying to do something. There we go. Right. So now we can go this way here. And here we've got the apoapsis and periapsis. I'll get the apoapsis to, I don't know, about 50. And then we'll stop. We'll coast up to that. I'll circularise that. And then we shall head back for Kerbin. You may think, hang on, we use a lot more fuel coming out. Yeah, we did. You don't use as much fuel going back, basically. So if I say there, add manoeuvre. It picks on the correct one. There we are. So we're going to use another 160 odd to get us where we need to be. How are we doing in terms of power? Plenty of power. For now, anyway. So, warp to the manoeuvre. And then we will hit the engine. Again, remember I've got the engine set so it's not in full-on power mode here. Basically, it just doesn't need it at this point. I could reset it to full power, but I'm not going to. There we are, that'll do. And then get rid of that, so the screen will go black again. Sorry for that. And then that's Kerbin. Now, I believe we're not far off the best point to head home. So I'm just going to do this here until... We get that, and then what I can do is try to grab the... What I'm trying to do is grab the... right, I want that. Kerbal periapsis is the bit I'm looking at. I want to grab this round here. Basically, I'm looking to minimise that, and that's probably about there. That'll do. So where are we? That's saying we are well past it. Going to kill the manoeuvre, and we're going to burn now. A Mun mission is always a little bit of a risk. Now what I need to do is get that periapsis down again to about 30. There we are, that'll do. And you see, 271 meters per second of propellant remaining. I'm not going to claim that's a brilliant margin. I dare say somebody who's better at flying these things than I am, which is probably most people, including the cat. Yay. Stop doing that. That's just gone far, far further than it was supposed to. Go retrograde, kidink. There we are. That gets rid of that. And now we're in the atmosphere and kidink on the parachutes. Unfortunately, we're coming in on the night side again. There's short of reorbiting and playing around with a lot of the bits and pieces, there's a limit to what I can do on that. So, yes. So this is going to take us in. Landing this is going to be quite safe. We've given it the full ablated bits and pieces. That's the upper stage exploding. Yes, so we've done the land on the Mun, we now must return. What we're now going to find is we start getting missions which are plant a flag on the Mun. And this is just the game's way of saying, go to the Mun, do whatever you want, land wherever you want. You will be rewarded for doing it. It's like, yeah, okay, I can live with that. Here we go. Whee, round we go. Yeah, we're definitely landing this time, which is the main thing. The apoapsis is now low, periapsis is now negative, which means we're going to find the planet that gets in the way shortly. There's the drogue. At the moment the drogue deploys, usually you know you're safe. So we shall take this down. We shall recover the science. Should be enough to unlock at least one more milestone, which we shall do, and then we'll have a little look at what we can do with unlocking that, see if there's any more contracts, and then that will be that one for this episode. So stick around for a little while and we'll be done. On this lovely bank holiday weekend. I do hope you're enjoying your bank holiday weekend. I'm filming this on the Sunday. This will probably be coming out in a day or two's time. I need to get a little bit ahead on the videos. But yes, this is Bank Holiday Sunday at around 5 o'clock on a somewhat overcast day. The highlight of which so far, apart from landing on Mun, which is obviously a highlight for everybody, has been a trip to the tip. Aren't bank holidays wonderful? Anyway, here we are splashing down. Enough of that. So Val has now done a lot more than Jeb's done, because Val has now walked on the surface of the Mun. The first Kerbal in this playthrough to do so. So there we go. So 170, yeah, we haven't quite got enough science to unlock 2 parts. So if we just go into the astronaut complex and have a little look. Val, you see, is now far more experienced. She's planted a flag on the Mun. She's nearly at the next level. The way to get to the next level is you go round, do something on Minmus, but we're not there yet. But we'll have a look in here. Another one for explore the Mun. Rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit of the Mun. Well, to be honest, we need to learn how to do that. We have some kerbals to go and save. Rendezvous 2 vessels. It's not too hard to do. We've got the satellites. What we need to do is go out there with something and go say, I will look at this. It's a reasonable amount of money. It's a reasonable amount of science. We'll take that. Mostly because I've got the slots spare. Next up, not those is going to be the other satellite missions and what have you. Recover that debris from there, which is the launching clamp stuff. We'll now have a quick look at what we can do in here. So we've got enough to unlock one more. We're so near unlocking 2 more. The one we need to do is this. The Poodle is the bigger version of the Terrier. The Skipper is the bigger version of the Swivel. The Bobcat I have never used. I don't know whether that's an upper one or lower one. Kickback and Pollux I've never used either. The Kickback is a honking great booster. That's the borderline the sort of thing you put on the side of the space shuttle. We need that, and the reason we need that, we can now fly big rockets. We've got the engines, we've got the fuel tanks. Next one will probably be the advanced flight control for the extra pod. Pomegranate re-entry model. Many little kerbals in this one's S3. Yes, anyway. Again, another Soyuz inspired thing. I'll use the whatever the one before Soyuz was. Although that's sort of getting towards it. Anyway, we've got all of that. That is it for this episode. Thank you very much for bearing with me during these slight Windows-related issues. And I will catch you all in the next one. Thank you very much, and goodbye.